Alright, today I'm going to show you how to create perfect gems with Notebooklm. And to do that, we're going to use Notebooklm to research the best methodologies for creating our own prompts, okay? Why do we want to create our own prompts? Because ultimately, to create a gem, we need to define a role for it, and that's done through a prompt. So the best way to quickly research a ton of information to generate a good prompt, look, obviously, if we already know how, we just generate it directly and we're done, okay? But hey, it's also nice to have a tool that generates the prompts for us, right? No, I'm not saying no. So what we'll do is head over here to Notebooklm, click on Investigate, Deep Research, and we're going to paste this prompt right here, okay? It says, Objective, research Google's official docs for system instructions and gems. Research points, people, tasks, context, formats. Specifically identify the chain of thought. Okay, so we'll send this over, all right? I've seen other people do this. I got this idea from another user who basically would send it to Claude, ChatGPT, and Gemini all at once, okay? Ask all three at the same time. What happens? Well, if we ask all three at once, it won't go as deep into each one individually. Instead, it'll just give us a little bit from each one. Plus, we can just keep this prompt as is and we're done, okay? If we don't want to keep adding more information, because ultimately we feel that what's already there about generating prompts in Gemini is more than enough, and we don't think the other two models like ChatGPT or Claude will add anything, well, we can move forward. In my case, I'm going to go ahead and include the ChatGPT information, okay? And Claude's too, which I'll show you the prompts for later. All right, and there we have no less than 43 sources. We're going to import them and move right on to the next prompt, okay? Here, obviously, we could also, if we wanted to dive deeper into prompt generation within Gemini, right? Well, if we only want Gemini and don't care about Claude or ChatGPT, okay? We could go deeper and create another prompt, but I think it's good to have perspective on the information available online about all the different models, especially these important ones. The prompt for ChatGPT is going to be this one, okay? Focus on structuring information, literacy, prompting strategies, and so on, okay? All focused on ChatGPT, custom instructions, and such. Let's send it. Here we see, for example, that I'm asking about token efficiency. I'm going to delete this and, well, we'll send it over there, okay? And here we have some very interesting things. For example, what are the best practices for writing instructions for a Gemini model? Here, they even give us some examples of prompts. This is all very, very valuable and interesting information that's going to help us, okay? Very good. So there we have 33 more sources, and let's move on to the last prompt, which is for Claude. Objective: conduct thorough research on Anthropic's documentation for system prompts and more. Important if you like GIFs, I just gave you 3 prompts and a perfect way to generate gems. In the description, you'll find an 8-minute private audio just for you, plus a little surprise gift that I'm sure you'll get a lot out of. I'm also going to show you how to optimize and use artificial intelligence much more effectively. And now let's send that last prompt to deep research. As we can see, obviously more sources isn't better, right? It would be interesting to read the sources and filter a bit, but that's why we're asking for official sources so we don't have to filter ourselves, because official sources should already have filtered information, but I'm sure it can be improved, obviously. I'm sure if we have a book on generating prompts or a library of 400 well-crafted prompts we can use as examples, we can use that too, okay? As well as more premium content. All of this could help us improve our prompt creator or our gem creator, okay? All right. And there we have another 41 sources. I want to briefly explain that I can have up to 300 sources, okay? Look, there it is. There it is. We have tons of Reddit posts and comments, which is really, that's honestly the interesting part. Because at the end of the day, most pages explain pretty much the same things. And where you actually find quality and specific information is in Reddit posts. I highly recommend it. If you ever run into a very specific error, go to Reddit. So now we have all our sources, okay? Let's let some of them finish loading. These ones showing up in red here, just delete all the sources with errors and that's it. Let me see if I can reload. Still loading well. I think the medium ones are going to give me errors across the board. So now what we're going to do is give Notebook context about what we're trying to generate, okay? All right, I'm going to ask for a prompt that I couldn't get with Gemini before, so I tell it, I'm using Gemini gems and I'd like to create a Gemini gem that gives me an application for the canvas based on whatever term I give it. For example, if I say solar system, I want it to create a 3D representation of the solar system. I'll add with explanations, or for example, plant growth the same, okay? Well, a bit complicated like that, but the AI gets it. I tell it, give me the title, the description, and the prompt. I'm going to send it. We have 111 sources. I don't know how long this will take. It'll probably take quite a while to respond because when I write with about 1,500 pages of book sources, it already takes me like 20-30 seconds. I don't want to imagine now. Oh, looks like it didn't take long, okay? Now let's grab the gem. We'll click New Gem. We'll name it Interactive 3D Concept Builder. Perfect. So far you've got it. Transcription. Well, description, sorry. The description is, transform any concept into a fully functional tool. Interactive 3D web application. Okay, and now we have the whole prompt here. Wow, the prompt it's intense. Person and task, context, format, and standard. Be concise. Obviously, the structure is going to be fine, right? Because we just built it with tons of examples and everything. It says, you are a creative master and tech expert in WebGL, 3.j as developer. You specialize in building 3D environments, web apps like the solar system or plant growth. Okay, task. When the user provides a term or concept, your goal is to generate a 3D interaction and app. What should we test it with? Okay, we said solar system and plants. I'm going to tell it river generation. All right, we also need to add the canvas tool, okay? We're going to hit save and then put river generation there. Theoretically, just by sending this, it should generate it. It might ask us some questions. Obviously now, regardless of the prompt, it would be much more interesting to say river generation and specify each of the processes, right? For example, it snows in the mountains, slowly melts, and rivers form. The rivers join together until they flow into the sea, then the sea evaporates, and the cycle repeats. Okay, a complete cycle. It would be cool to give it the explanation, but anyway, let's see how it does this. It's generating everything here. Well, the prompt I sent, I gave it, but it's this one here, okay? Wait, it's this one here, in case you want to try it to see I'm not lying, okay? There you have it. I'm seeing it's creating a pretty hefty application. Almost 500 lines of code. Obviously, I want you to understand that what I've asked for is super complex, eh? And in fact, it would make much more sense. Wow, well, almost, huh? I mean, it's missing the mountains and the sea and all that, but you can see, wow, well, that's where it flows into, right? Look, obviously, this isn't anything amazing. Look, the headwaters, it says, rivers start in the mountains and in the highlands. The glaciers melt and all that. Now, as far as the visual representation goes, it's clearly done what it could, okay? Here we'd have to keep iterating and all that and take advantage of the fact that we're playing with the interactive 3D concept builder, but it's done pretty well for the little info we gave it, huh? I mean, I asked it to create a river for me. I didn't tell it to make the environment or bio anything else. I told it to create the metamorphosis with all the visual representations and processes of a butterfly. And let's see what it generated. State, okay, stage 1, the egg. Well, there it shows us the egg. Let's see, that's good. You have to imagine it a bit, right? Stage 2, the larva, then the pupa, then the pupa, and then the adult. Okay, I told it to improve the visuals. I wrote just one message, improve the aesthetics and layout. And it's improved it quite a bit, honestly. We have the egg, we have now, let's see if it lets me select the second stage. Well, we can rotate the egg, you spin it around and click objects, drag toward the larva, right? The pupa and the butterfly, right? Or the imago. Well, this is something else, huh? And all this with just one prompt, right? So yeah, this is the potential. Now I could create any representation. Obviously, this has some pretty clear limitations, right? But if you focus it, look at other types of prompts and such, we're already seeing a bit of the potential of what we can generate. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it and subscribe.